Good morning students, welcome back to social classes, and in today's video we will talk about postmodernism, how it is different from modernism. We will also talk about the features of a postmodern society and sociological theories which are related to it. Now, what is postmodernism? Postmodernism is a way of thinking that challenges the idea that there is only one truth or a single way to understand the world. Instead, it argues that reality is subjective, means it depends on perspective and it is always contextual. Unlike modernism, which believes in progress, reason, and universal truths, postmodernism is skeptical of grand narratives, that is, big theories that claim to explain everything, and believes that truth is fragmented and constructed by individuals and society. For postmodernists, even science is a dominant discourse and they question the legitimacy of scientific enterprise. Now, moving on to the key features of postmodernism. First of all, rejection of grand narratives. Postmodernist thinkers rejects grand narratives like Marxism, capitalism, etc. Relativity of truth means what is true for one group may not be true for another group, and that truth is socially constructed. Hyperreality, the concept which was given by Jean Baudrillard, he argues that media creates a world where boundary between reality and fiction is blurred. Now, decentralization of power, it is a concept related to Michel Foucault. He argues that instead of one central authority of power, power is spread across different institutions, for example, police, law, media, etc. Postmodernist believes in cultural pluralism and they celebrate diversity. Now, moving on to the examples of postmodernism in society. First of all, social media and influencers. People create online identity that may not match their reality. This is an example of Baudrillard's hyperreality. Reality TV or fake news which blurs the line between entertainment and truth. Now, consumer culture. People buy brands for identity and not just utility. For example, you buy Nike shoes for status. So these were few examples of postmodernism in today's society. Now, moving on to the postmodern theories. First of all, we will discuss Jean-François Lyotard in his book The Postmodern Condition. He argues that society no longer believes in grand narratives and instead focus on small local stories or micro narratives which shapes the knowledge. For example, instead of one history of India, we now study multiple perspectives. For example, Dalit standpoint perspective, feminist history, tribal history, etc. Then there is subaltern perspective, means you're looking at history from the point of view of the people who has always been marginalized in the society. Now, moving on to another theory by Jean Baudrillard, who in his book Simulacra and Simulation, published in 1981, talked about hyperreality, means a word where signs and symbols create a reality that is more real than reality itself. For example, Disneyland, social media and news media, they construct realities that shapes people's perspectives more than the actual experiences, and people believes in whatever is shown on TV, etc. So media creates a fake version of reality that people accept as real. People believes that Instagram influencers' lives, they are perfect. However, those images are curated and edited. Now, moving on to the third theory of postmodernism, which belongs to Michel Foucault, who in his book Discipline and Punishment, published in 1975, argues that power is everywhere. It is not just in the government or institutions, but in knowledge, language, and everyday practices. For example, schools, hospitals, and prisons, they use disciplinary power to control people's behavior. Now, moving on to another theory by Zygmunt Bauman, who in his book Liquid Modernity argues that society is no longer stable. Instead, it is liquid, where identities, jobs, and relationships are always changing. Unlike earlier times when people had one job for life, today people change careers multiple times. So finally, Fredric Jameson in his book Postmodernism or the Cultural Logic of Late Capitalism, published in 1991, argues that postmodern culture is shaped by capitalism, where everything becomes a product to be consumed. Even protests such as Black Lives Matter, Pride Month, they get commercialized as various brands are there who are selling their products in promoting themselves at that time. So now these were few theories which I had to discuss about postmodernism, which are related to NET exam. We will go into more details later. Thank you for watching this video.